I am an idea person. I have ideas all the time, all the time. And if you're anything like me, you probably have a lot of ideas too, and you might be wondering what to do with all of them, right? Well, I have a few ideas on how to deal with that. Welcome to Allie on Life, where I believe every life is a beautiful story, and I want to help you tell yours. Well, I am an idea person. In fact, it's been scientifically proven. Yes, that's true. Have you ever heard of Strengths Finder? Well, it's one of those things that it's kind of like a personality type test. So I was going to mention it actually in my last video on personality theory, but it's not exactly a personality test. It's really just like, what are your strengths? What are the things that you're good at? It's a career test actually. So it's like, hey, here's your strengths. This is what you should do for a job. I don't do any of those things, but I do have ideas. In fact, one of my top strengths was an ideator. Ideator? Ideator. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say lots of things, but I have lots of ideas, and that is the point. I literally can't stop coming up with ideas. I do it all the time. It's a little bit, it's a little, yeah, it's kind of crazy up in there. So what do I do with all of them? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about it. First thing, if you have lots of ideas and they really are great, I mean, maybe some of them aren't great, but some of them might be, and you don't want to forget those. So what do you need to do? Write them down. You can write them down on paper, like the old fashioned with the pen. I still do that, actually. That's where most of my ideas are, in a little book. But you can also write them down digitally in a note-taking application on a phone or an iPad or your computer or any of those things where ideas can be found and stored and searched, because I like to do that too. Actually, I have a lot of ideas that are just in my notes file, in my notes app on Apple, and that way I can search for them if I think, I know I had this idea and I know I wrote it down, but I can't find it on the places where I usually write it down, so it must be digital somewhere, and then I can search for it. I can search for it in the iCloud or on whatever device I wrote it down in. There is a way to find that idea because I made a note of it. But if you don't make a note of it, it could just be gone, and you could be like, oh man, I had this great idea today in the shower and I don't know where it went. Now, ideas that come to you in the shower, you have two options. You can either, well, there's three options technically. If you have a waterproof phone, you can make a note of them in the shower. If you have a waterproof notepad, which is a thing that they actually make, and I'll link to it in the description for this video, you can write them down in the shower, or you can just repeat them several times to yourself and hope that you remember once you get out of the shower. I've been known to do all three of those things actually. Now, when they are all written down in various places, then the next thing that you need to do is organize those ideas. Now, I am not, I admit, very good at this part. I think you might have been able to tell by the fact that I have several places that I keep those ideas. Now, there should be a place, I will say, where you have all of your ideas. That would be really, really smart. But just in case there's not, or just in case you want to move them from like, an actual paper situation to a digital place where you can keep track of them and take action on them, that is where the organization comes into play. So you can organize those a variety of ways, but one that I've heard and haven't actually implemented yet, but I think it's a really good idea, is to just put them into a spreadsheet, and then you can organize them and color code them. And if you're a spreadsheet person like I am, I love a spreadsheet. So I'm really excited about doing that when I have, an hour or so to sit down and do something like that. Otherwise, you can organize them in different notebooks, in different sections in a notebook, in a bullet journal where you index them. I put some of my ideas on a desk pad so that while I'm working, I can also just scribble those down, and then I'll, transfer them somewhere else eventually. Or I just, keep piling them up on the desk pad and think I will find them. They're written down. Yeah, clearly my organization skills are not great. But if you want to handle those ideas really, really well, organize them and make them easy to recall and take action on. Next step, once you have them written down and you know where they are, you can evaluate them. Now, you can do this yourself. You can say, is this really a good idea? Is it not a good idea? Is it an idea that I have time for right now? Or is it an idea that I need to wait on? Is it an idea for me or an idea for someone else? Because if you're an idea person, you might be coming up with ideas that have nothing to do with you whatsoever. I come up with ideas for other people all the time, and you might want to evaluate those a little bit before you present them to the people that you have, decided that they should be for, because sometimes those ideas can come across as like well-meaning advice that people don't necessarily want. They can also come across as I'm telling you what to do in a situation, and people don't necessarily like that either. So when you are presenting your ideas for someone else to that person, you want to have at least thought through it a little bit first and figured out the best way to go about doing that. Also ask for permission. That's really helpful, I find. But for my own personal ideas for myself, I evaluate them and I also take them to a committee. That's right. I have a committee. They may not know that they are, in fact, my committee. There are about five people on my idea filtering committee. They don't technically have those roles. I haven't said to them, you're on my committee, but they probably know who they are. And the reason why I have them is because I can say, hey, I've got this idea. What do you think? And they come up with a variety of responses, actually, which I think is pretty great. It can be anywhere from like, that's an amazing idea, you should completely do that, to, what? What even is that? What? So it's part of the evaluation process, but it's also practice for when I need to present those ideas to other people later on in my life. Because once I have talked through them with my committee, I have also thought about them a little bit more in my own mind. And probably sometimes I drive them crazy with the constant, ideas and how about I do this? And what do you think about this? And oh, how about this one? And oh, whoa, whoa. Yeah. We all need some really good friends in our lives if we're idea people. That's just the fact. So evaluate those ideas with your friends and make sure that they have given you permission to evaluate ideas, because otherwise you may not have those friends forever. Once you've thought through it yourself and thought through it with your friends or other mentors or people that you run ideas by, you can think through them again and just make sure that yes, these are good ideas and they are worth keeping. Otherwise, get rid of them. Because here's the thing about when you're an idea person, there's always going to be another idea. So if you have an idea that you think is great and somebody says it's not, or several people say that it's not, or you decide that it's not, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. You'll probably have another one tomorrow or in an hour. Now, if you think that absolutely every idea that you've ever had is a great one, we might need to have a different conversation, or you might need to find some friends to run those ideas by. After you evaluate the ideas and decide whether they are worth pursuing, then you need to decide if it is in fact time to take action on those ideas, because maybe it's not. Maybe even if it's a great idea, it's something that you can save for the future, but maybe it's something you need to implement right away. These are things that you need to know, and they can be part of your color coding in your spreadsheet or in your bullet journal or wherever it is that you're keeping track of your ideas. It can be as simple as this is an idea to shelf and this is an idea to take action on. And choosing which ones can be a little bit difficult, but it is part of the process. So you can do it. I believe in you. I can do it too. Finally, once you have picked the ideas that you're going to take action on, you need to take action. That's right, because an idea is only as good as the action that you take on it. If you never take the action, it's not that great of an idea. You may need to make a little plan for how you're going to put that into action. You may need to create a tracking system. I have a great idea for a running program that I'm going to be working on, but I keep forgetting to write it down. And so I just keep running without tracking what I'm doing. And it's working, but it's not as good as if I were putting my idea into action. I would feel a lot better about the whole situation. When you have decided what you're taking action on, plan it, track it, and do it. Well, now I have a question for you. What do you do with all of your ideas? How do you organize them? Please tell me, because I need help with that. How do you track them, and how do you plan them out and evaluate them and do all of that? Please tell me in the comments, because I just love to talk about ideas. In fact, if you have a problem and you need an idea to help you solve it, put that in the comments too, because that is one of my strengths, is helping people solve problems by giving them great ideas. Now, if you put a problem in the comments, you have given me permission to share my ideas with you, but I also am giving you permission to not take my ideas if you don't like them. Now, if you're a writer, or you know a writer with a whole lot of ideas for what to write, but you're not really sure which ones are the best ones, I have a great free resource for you, and it's called What to Write. Imagine that. It's just a tool for helping you sort through all the ideas that you have and putting them into action as far as writing a book or a blog or whatever it is that you want to write. Or if you just know that you want to write something, but you're not even really sure yet what you want to write, it can guide you through the process of brainstorming. So if that is something that would be helpful for you, just click the link in the description, or I think it's going to pop up here somewhere. That's all for today. Now get out there, take your ideas, and tell your story because someone needs to hear it.